back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. I'm Lindsay, and today I'm doing my top 4 books of 2023. I was going to do top 5, but if I'm being honest, it wasn't the best reading year for me in the sense that I didn't read that many books. There were good books, but I wanted to do ones that I really loved and that I haven't talked about before on this channel. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review of that, and I'm just going to jump right into it. There's probably going to be a glare because I have my ring light over there. The first book is The Host by Stephenie Meyer. If I'm being honest, I haven't read a ton of Stephenie Meyer because I never even finished Twilight. I started it when I was 10, and I think that's why I ended up just reading Twilight and New Moon and then stopping, because it's very romance heavy, and at this point in my life I'm fine with that, but when I was 10 I wanted more adventure. So I never finished it, but I am going to venture to say that this is superior to the Twilight books. I have seen the movies, so I feel like I'm a little bit qualified to say that, but this book is so good. It's a sci-fi romance that's a little less heavy on the romance and focuses a lot on the post-apocalyptic world where aliens are inhabiting people's bodies. That's why it's called The Host. And without giving too many spoilers, you have this interesting point of view where it's two main protagonists, because you are still hearing from Melanie, who is hosting the main character, the alien. And there is a problematic age gap in the romance, but it's a piece of fiction. So as long as, if you consume problematic media, I don't think that makes you problematic. The only way you're problematic is if you're seeing these problematic things and saying there's nothing wrong with it. But also just wanted to brush on that real quick. Whatever, it's a thing. And it's a little bit of a slow burn, so prepare yourself for that, but I think the payoff is really nice. And it's a very interesting world, a very interesting concept. Yeah, I recommend this book. And speaking of problematic relationships, Emma by Jane Austen. It's the 1800s, so pretty much every relationship has a problematic dynamic, but I did really like this book. I love Jane Austen. This wasn't my favorite book of hers. It's still Pride and Prejudice, if we're being honest. But I did really enjoy this. I don't want to give too much of a spoiler, so I'll just say it is, if you want to know what the plot is, Clueless is a modern retelling of it. So just to put it simply, that's pretty much all I'm going to say about this, because I have a hard time speaking of Jane Austen without saying, here's everything that happens. That's just how I am. So, and I'm trying to keep this spoiler free. So we'll just move on to the next book. So, Good Omens. I had never read anything from Terry Pratchett before this, but I had read Neil Gaiman books, and so I love his sense of humor. I've always found his books to be funny. I enjoyed the world building in Stardust, and I've heard Terry Pratchett is really funny, so I wasn't surprised that this made me laugh multiple times. I also wasn't surprised to find how good the writing was, considering they are both renowned authors. The story was very compelling. I'm sure a lot of people at this point have seen the show. I haven't watched the show yet because I just finished the book, so I want to watch the show now. I am going to watch the show, but I haven't watched it yet. So I'm sure a lot of people who have seen this have watched the show and can talk about how much they find the show to be very compelling. I found the book to be very compelling. Also, if you want to talk about, is the show different, comment down below. I'll read that and then I'll watch the show, or I'll read it after I watch the show. I'm just saying things at this point. So, spoiler-free kind of review. It gave me Love Actually vibes at first, because there are several intertwining stories, not necessarily love stories, except, and I'm saying it's like Love Actually affectionate because I do like that movie, but I had never read a fantasy story like this. I found it very interesting, the unlikely allies, and this is in the synopsis, so it's not a spoiler, but the idea of we misplaced the Antichrist was, I love that. It's so funny to me. And I'm so excited to watch the show, and it's sad that Terry Pratchett is not around to see it, but from what I understand, Neil Gaiman is making sure it's something he'd be proud of as well, and I really hope that it is. I'm sure, yeah. He seemed like I really like his sense of humor and him as an author, so. Finally, this book. This book, The Stolen Heir. I saved my favorite for last. You guys understand, I talked about this before. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out the video of me talking about how The Folk of the Air is my favorite series. It's not the most how shall I say this? I would say it's not the best formulated review in the sense that I'm all over the place because I was just very excited talking about my favorite thing, but I do recommend go give it a watch because you will understand that Jude and Carden are my babies. I love them, and I was a bit skeptical going into this book, honestly, because I wasn't sure how I would feel being in the same world but hearing Oak and Ren's story and not my babies. But I was blown away. I love Holly Black's world building. Say that 10 times fast. Holly Black's world building. Yes, there were mentions of Carden and Jude to tie me over, but even more than that, I just love the world Holly Black created. If you like fantasy, romance, if you like a slow burn, I mean, I'm shipping Oak and Ren so hard now, but if you like a slow burn, but a dark story with twists and dark backstory especially, highly recommend this book. I'm so nervous for the next one. I don't even want to think about what could possibly happen. Also, sidebar, but I commented on a post about the first chapter on Holly Black's Instagram. I can't remember what I said, something like I'm both extremely excited and extremely nervous, or I'm both extremely excited and extremely terrified, something like that, and she liked it, so that was pretty neat. But anyway, highly, highly, highly recommend this book if you like fantasy and fantasy romance. It's so good. You don't necessarily have to have read The Folk of the Air. Obviously, I'm going to recommend the Cruel Prince series, The Folk of the Air, because it's my favorite, but she does give little explanations here and there, so if you haven't read it, it shouldn't be that hard to follow. I do recommend reading it first, but again, if you just want to jump into this, you can also do that. It's so good. The Prisoner's Throne comes out this year, and I'm going to talk more about that in my next video about what books I'm excited for that are coming out in 2024. That is the video I'm doing next week, so like and subscribe for that. And I'm so excited for the books I have planned to read in 2024, my TBR. I have a little bit more downtime this year, the first half of the year at least, where I can do a lot more reading, so it's gonna be a fun year. I have videos planned out, I think, through the end of the year on this channel. I'm very, very excited. And I had to pause to burp for a second, just in case you wanted to know that. And yeah, so like and subscribe, and I keep burping for some reason, so I'm gonna go now. Bye!